What up? What up? What up, peeps? It's Blackwing 2040. Welcome to a very special live stream. I am here with fellow toku enthusiast, Mr. Vaughn Cooper, who is the most famous black man in Japan. How are you doing, my friend?
Blackwing, what's going on? Hey everybody, this is Mr. Cooper 92, most famous black man in Japan. Let's go with hello, hi. I'm doing great.
And of course, again with me, I can say this guy does amazing edits. He does the Lord's work, as some of us in the Toku community like to say. Mr. Sentai 5, how are you doing, my man?
Good. Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you for having me on, good sir.
Oh, our next guest has just arrived.
Oh, here we go.
And coming in, he's a very big Kansas City Chiefs fan. I don't know exactly where he's from, but he's a big Toku enthusiast. Mr. Squall Charleston,
what's going on? Oh, we got some good folks up in here. Let's do this.
What's good, Squall?
Hey, man. Hey, by the way, I am in Kansas City, so it makes sense.
There we go.
To rep him. Hell yeah.
Okay. Because I was like, I know he's a Kansas City Chiefs fan. I just don't know which state.
Because I know you mentioned it one time.
Man, I'm all over the place. I'm all over the
I
place.
just said you was in Carolina or something. I don't know.
Oh man. But yeah, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you guys so much for being here. Of course, I have one more special guest, Joe Decomai from the Illuminati. He'll be here very soon. But regardless, we are here to talk about my favorite Power Ranger season of all time. I know this is a well-beloved season throughout the entire fandom. Power Rangers Time Force celebrating 20 years this year. How can you guys believe how incredible this season was? First of all, I just got asked, where were you guys on the day of February 5th when Power Rangers Time Force premiered?
I was downstairs in my living room with my brother.
I was probably either home or grandma's house. I was at my grandma's house during that time.
I honestly don't remember, but I caught on to the end. This was like the first series that I was watching, the new episodes weekly, but I was about like halfway through to the end. So I can't really give you a go honest answer there.
I don't blame you, because I'm pretty sure for me, I didn't start watching Time Force until like around the end when Wild Force was starting to start airing. So, but overall, I've watched this season for many years. I rewatch it every year. I just got done rewatching it this year, so I could cut that off my list. I don't have to rewatch it again until like next year. But overall, this season has. This is widely known as one of the best Power Ranger seasons of all time. It's pretty much the production in this season went above and beyond, introducing, dark themes, introducing, realistic storytelling, having, an actual, I could say a good uses of relationships in this season. It just goes above and beyond. So I want to start with Vaughn. What would you say was the biggest thing that makes Time Force stand out above every other season?
For me, what makes Time Force stand out was pretty much, I want to say the story, because the story is pretty much out there. Because looking at the story, we have Lightspeed Rescue before Time Force, and Lightspeed Rescue ended dark. It ended really, really dark, and it ended like on a very high, hopeful note. But with Time Force, I want to say it started off like dark as well, because you have Rancic trying to take control of trying to take control, try to go back to the past. Then you have Alec trying to save everybody else, trying to get Rancic back, and then stuff happened with him, and then Jen and the rest of the people. I want to say that it started off really, really well. And it just kept on going up when you get introduced with Wes, Eric. You learn more about like Eric's family. You learn more about like Rancic's past and like all different villains. I want to say like there's a lot of great things about Time Force that I really, really enjoyed, but mainly was the plot for me.
I could definitely agree with that. What about you, Five?
Going off what Vaughn said, definitely the overall plot to it. Because we have 4 Rangers from the future stuck in the year 2001. That's obviously something that hasn't been done since ever until that point. And then also the overall tension and drama throughout the show as well. an overarching plot was between Wes and his father, and that was, their relationship got very, very strained, and it got even worse when he found out he was the Red Ranger. But he finally stood up to his father and said, "This is my life. This is what I choose." And then we get to that whole Dawn of Destiny little 3-parter.
I love that arc.
That was, yes. I think that was like that's like Power Rangers at its finest right there. Mm-hmm. Like overall in the franchise, those 3 episodes were like chef's kiss.
And what about you, Squall?
I think what really initially kind of drew me in was this wasn't, Mighty Morphin. This wasn't Turbo, and I hate to be cliche and say like it had more mature themes and like undertones, but it really does. Like it doesn't take itself as like goofy. It's a little more serious. It's a little more focused, and just the style of it, like kind of like what we see with Dino Fury now, where they have like a new director of photography. It's got new cinematography. It just felt like something that I hadn't already seen before, and that's what really drew me in. It got me in, through Wild Force and on. And so I just really think, like, on top of what everyone else has said, like the style of it is just so unique, and it was so distinct, and it was just so new.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what you guys have said, because every time I just go through Time Force, I just see how different it is compared to, like, seasons before it, seasons after it. Some seasons have, tried to match the tone of Time Force, which they have, but it's just Time Force goes on a level that's just, it's so real, like with the Destiny arc, because between Wes and his father, I love that arc so much, because Power Rangers is not afraid to step into that line of, let's get real with people, because there are, of course, moments where people have, actual, bad relationships with their parents, and it does have a strain on things. So that whole moment when, Wes's father found out that he's the Red Ranger, and that put a strain on their relationship. And then in the Destiny arc, where he stands up for Wes because he's proud of him, I'm just like, what other Power Ranger season does this? Like, what is, like, this is not even Power Rangers, this is real life, this is reality, this is a masterpiece right here. I just love everything about it. So of course, for all the fellow Toku enthusiasts here in the chat, and also those of you who are watching, this season adapts footage from Mirai Sentai Time Ranger, which also celebrated its 20th anniversary last year, and it was also the first Sentai of the 2000s. What would you say? I try not to, compare and contrast, but compared to Time Force, how would you say Time Ranger is compared to Time Force? I hate to compare it, but Vaughn, starting with you.
Okay, you put me on the hot spot. Okay, I appreciate that. Well, when I finished Time Ranger, I think I finished Time Ranger, I want to say like 3-4 years ago. So comparing the two, it's like they had a similar story, but they're very, very different as well, because they have like 4 people coming back from like the year 3000 to the past to help save the Red Ranger that's going to be there. The villain's a lot different, because instead of Ransik, they have what's his name, Vibe? I know
Don De Niro.
Don De Niro. Yeah. So having him as like the main, like somewhat the main villain, but like the main antagonist, pretty much. It really, I want to say, like, it just compared it to, it's hard to compare the two, because they're all great in their special way, because they're similar but yet different. I can say that I can watch both and still feel like I learned a lot of good things from both. So it's kind of hard to say like which one is even better, because both of them are equally great, especially since Kobayashi wrote Time Ranger. She's one of my favorite toku writers of all time. So it's kind of hard to compare, like trying to like outweigh which one is more better.
I agree. I definitely agree. What about you, Five?
It's pretty much the same thing. They're very similar, almost down to a T, but there's still certain differences. I think for Time Force, I could sympathize more with the villains, how Ransik was treated poorly, and then how he has a little bit of humanity left inside of him, in his heart, because how he deeply cares for Nadira. Obviously, it was just what made him, change his ways. And then also Time Ranger. spoiler alert, ends a lot more depressing than Time Force does.
Yes.
Oh yes.
Yes.
I can't. Oh my. If you guys haven't watched Time Ranger, it is on Tubi TV and is also on Shout Factory. So whenever you guys are finished watching this, go watch Time Ranger and
Let's just say that I was in my bed for hours when Time Ranger, and I'm like, I don't know what I just watched.
It's gonna make you go, oh,
that's a toku scene I can't watch without like holding my tears back, like just randomly. I can't even watch that. It's hard. It's tough.
It's beautiful but sad at the same time.
Yeah, it is, because like it's like a deeper meaning to it also, because like we don't really see them, out of the suit ever again except for Time Yellow. So it's like it's like 10 times more depressing.
We can't even say Time Red, because Time Red was Master Black.
Yeah, he was Master Black and
Soldier.
Yep. Biggest flex of Toei in like the last 10 years.
Right.
Yeah.
So what about you, Squall? What would you say like makes, comparing Time Ranger and Time Force, what would you say feels like I said, which is the better of the two, but what makes them both stand out?
I'm personally always going to like side with the Sentai. I like seeing where it came from. And I think that the writing and everything that was in this series was so kind of like a perfect, setup in volleyball. Like it was a perfect thing for Power Rangers to kind of come in for our audience and our, viewers to really kind of copy what they did, but also, make it their own. Like they very much, kind of changed here and there for the characters. And I remember going through and seeing like all of, Sentai that I could, like in like the late like 2009 and 10. And so I haven't seen this one. I haven't revisited it in a while, other than a couple episodes, like on Tokushoutsu or whatever. And I don't remember exactly if it's present in Time Force, but when you were mentioning kind of like the parent and, like child relationships, I think Time Force does it really well with kind of Rancic being evil, being, like this villain in a lot of people's eyes, but having such, a love for his own. And you kind of have Wes on the other side, who is the hero, who's like the good guy, but he has literally none of that. And it's kind of funny to see like the villains have more love for one another and their own than, the hero and his dad, who's kind of just wanting Wes to do and, fall in line. And I don't remember if Time Ranger has a lot of that present, but I do really appreciate that was added in, of course, which makes it fun to watch and stronger too.
There was something I wanted to add on too, because I think the way Time Force handled the reconciliation of Wes and his dad was done a lot better as well.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to add that on.
If I'm wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, because I know Tatsuya didn't really kind of reconcile with his dad. Yeah. I know it was because I only watched like Time Ranger twice. I've only watched it twice, so I'm just like, wait a minute, Tatsuya never reconciled with his father.
It's like
I'm just like, whoa.
Yeah.
It was like lukewarm a little bit, because you don't really see them interact with each other that much in Time Ranger, except for like when he revealed that he was Time Red, and then like pieces here and there, but that's about it.
Yeah, because I'm like, I know he didn't really. I know, but regardless of that, we have. I could say this is probably one of the best. This is probably one of the best casts in Power Rangers history. These guys always love to make reunions at Power Morphicon. That's actually one of the reasons why I want to go to Power Morphicon, so I can meet these guys. Because every single PMC this cast goes to, their reunions get bigger and bigger and bigger. I'm just like, son of a gun, when can I go? Like, what is it, do you think, that makes the cast stand out so much? And Squall, we could start with you with this.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
I wasn't gonna do that to Vaughn again.
I really think having gone to a con, I grew up in Minnesota, and we had like a small con up there where we had Jessica Ray. We had I forgot his name, who plays Wes. He was there too. Like it had like a bunch of people from Time Force were part of this like small little anime convention that I was at, and I was just like, hey, I love the Power Rangers. I used to watch this, and that kind of like got me, like back into it a little bit more, because I got to meet the people. I think what really works with this is it is, 2000. It's a new, generation. It's a new kind of breath and step for Power Rangers. And I think this cast really kind of exemplifies each individual that is always present on the team in some capacity or not, whether or not, the actor or the character can own up to those, kind of cliches that they, are written into, but I feel like this is the new mold that everybody kind of followed in afterwards. And the cast they loved their time on it because Time Force was huge. It was going to get a movie, wasn't it? They were on the path to being the next Power Rangers. They were the new Mighty Morphin. And I think, that's something that is always going to stick with them and with the series. And it shows how much Koichi Sakamoto-san, he put into the show. Really kind of
the goat.
Yeah,
Koichi is the goat.
Oh God!
If you guys seen the episode, I got to sit down and talk with him, and honestly, you bring up Time Force with Sakamoto-san, and he'll just his eyes just immediately he'll go on, and it's oh yeah, give me more. What about this? And he just has so much love and appreciation for that cast because he just felt like it was his first time coming in and really getting to help pick and put this team together on screen. And I think it really shows everyone works beautifully together.
For sure.
Squall, I'm still jealous about you in that conversation with Koichi. So just to let you know that one.
Man, he got to communicate. He got to talk to one of the best directors in Toku history.
Jealous.
So
agreed.
Squall's living his life
right now.
Squall's living his life. What about you, Five? What is it you think that makes the the cast of Time Force stand out?
It's their genuine chemistry, really. I've been to a few cons with them and everything. They're still fun loving. And then even on the show, their character, you could just tell, when you watch a show and you see a cast get along well on the show, you just they definitely, you can tell a bit of a little bit a part of them from real life is blending into the show like that. That's how I feel with the Time Force cast. Especially when they showed them goofing off in the not the rooftop, the clock tower at times. You can tell it's them being themselves, basically.
Definitely. What about you, Vaughn?
For me, the cast really sold me about Time Force because you can see that it had very, very genuine chemistry, on and also off screen. Because when you see them at a convention, all together, they're goofing around, having each other, making it a little party, trying to get everybody hyped to go to their panels. It's a really fun experience, especially when especially when you meet the one-on-one. I met Jason Fine a couple times for conventions. Dan Southworth, I met him twice, and I can say when I met him, I had one of the best experiences at a convention because I met him. Because when you meet with him, you can get an autograph signed by him. You can do a lot of pictures. If the picture don't do another picture, make it a lot better. As well as if you do a video, he will actually do it because we had one of my friends record a video of him doing his catchphrase as Virgil from Devil May Cry.
Oh, nice.
Telling him to get motivated. I'm you better get motivated. I'm come on, man. I'm it's the personality that you see off screen, very much how they are off screen. So, and plus the cast is really loved by all the different Ranger communities. So MMP, all the people from MMPR love them, and people from Dino Thunder, SPD, all of them pretty much love that cast overall, and just hanging out with them individually or together.
Yeah, that's definitely right. I actually got to meet Michael Capone in 2019. He showed up to New York Comic Con. So when I saw him on the guest list, I was bet, this is the Time Force Ranger. I got to meet him. I don't care if it's just one. I got to meet him. Even if it's just one, I got to meet him. So the fact that I actually got to meet one out of the 6 Time Force Rangers, it was a great experience for me to just, meet him at, in front. I told him, I love your guys' season. You guys are my favorite season of all time. It was just an incredible experience. Let's talk about the villains of the season, because these villains got to be the most complex and realistic villains in Power Rangers ever. Let's talk about Ranzik. Ranzik is no joke. This dude... First of all, can we just say how this is a villain, a main Power Rangers villain that fought all 6 Rangers and won? All 6 of them and won.
Yeah.
What other Power Ranger villain can do that? I still can't believe even Eric tried to fight Ranzik on his own. Before he can even pull out his Quantum Defender, he was nope. Ranzik, nope, you're not doing that.
It's all that serum he's taking.
Exactly. He's you're not doing that. You're not doing that.
I can jump in this race because when Rancic actually showed up on screen, like the first time on Time Force, I wasn't really sure like how he'd be as a villain, but until like the end of like the 2-parter, I was like, okay, I'm sold, because he was menacing, he was ruthless, but he also had a caring side with Nadira. So it showed like different layers that he was a complex villain, because you saw like the ruthless side of Rancid, you saw like the boss side of Rancid, but you also saw like the intimate side, because he does really care about like his daughter. So him like having like that human, he was pretty much a mutant, but he has those human elements. So seeing him like going through like pretty much being a complex individual made him a great villain. Plus, like you said, the final episode of Time Force, he was beating all their asses. Come on, man.
They all got washed.
They all got washed.
They did.
The only way that he saved each other because of Nadira. Like, he stopped doing it because of Nadira pretty much like came to his sister. So like, he's a badass and he cannot be stopped unless it's his daughter. So
exactly. What about you, Five? What's your thoughts on Rancic?
He is the real deal. The moment I saw him pull out that sword from his leg, I knew it. I knew right there. I'm like, oh, he's not one to be messed with. And when I was a kid, I'm like, how the hell did they make him pull out a sword from his leg? This was without like CG.
And it's a bone sword.
My knowledge on that. Yeah. So I was like, how did they do that? It's crazy. And then like every time he took off his whenever he had his faceplate off and they showed his like mutant side and everything, I'm like, damn, that's disgusting. And I will admit, when I was a kid, I hated that I felt bad for Rancic for how he was treated, because he was just so bad to the bone, literally, that I'm like, I really hate how I feel bad for him. And then, but he, obviously he changed for the better, and as we saw in Wild Force, he really changed for the better.
Oh yes, redemption at its finest.
Yeah, so that's he had a very, very interesting journey over the course of 2 years.
I agree. What about you, Squall? What about you?
I always talk about like when I was little watching these shows, I was stupid. Obviously, like you're little, you don't really connect the dots. And I always thought Rancic, for whatever reason, was like a brother to Kano from Mortal Kombat.
We were just watching Mortal Kombat last night.
So I was always like wondering like how this was connected, because I thought as a kid, like,
that is a beautiful connection.
Everything's got to be connected to a little kid brain, and I always thought that was
fine. Why did this happen?
You actually might be on something there, Squall.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
But like, I mean, we're talking about the villains. I actually don't think Rancic is the real villain here. I think like the prejudice that he as a mutant encountered, that kind of led him and others to sort of feel that resentment towards all the genetically modified perfect human beings, and they're all left without anything. That is the real problem, that even 1,000 years in the future, that the easiest thing that they could fix is to help these people, and they don't, thus turning them into criminals. But I think the real villain of the story has to be Frax. Like, he's a guy that had all of this. He's the one that really empowered everybody and sort of lit the match that kind of started the rebellion of the mutants to kind of push back and to realize, hey, we don't have to take this from these guys anymore. We can all band together. We can rise up. And, he kind of threw away his humanity to sort of, reach that end. So I actually feel like he's more of the villain, even though, you got cool Kano brother over here.
Actually, shout out to Este. Roland did bring up a good point, saying, yeah, true, because not all antagonists are villains, because comparing it to Time Ranger, the Don was also just an antagonist. He wasn't really a villain until you realize what he was actually experiencing. So right. I know this about Time Force, but Time Ranger 2 had that same point with the Don, and it really did show. I actually felt bad for the Don too at the end of Time Ranger. So
it's funny enough that you brought up Don De Niro, because I remember that episode. Spoilers ahead if you haven't watched Time Ranger. These spoilers. When Yuri shot him and she was asking him like, why did you kill my parents? He was like, I forgot. I was like, wow. I'm like, you put a hit out on a girl's parents and you forgot why you did it? Mm-hmm. I was just like, dude.
It really makes you hate these characters, but then feel bad for them at the same time. You just hate that you feel bad for them.
I don't even know if I want to feel bad for De Niro at all, because he's just like, dude, you put a head out on her parents and you forget why you did it. I'm just like, you know what? At this point, you're dead. Forget you. You're done. Forget it. Like,
It's not delivery, it's De Niro.
I'm like, forget about you. You're done. I don't care anymore. Like, it just came to the point where like Yuri's whole mission was just to kill him. Like, I wanted to avenge my parents, and I'm like, I got nothing left now. Like, I got nothing left. It's just like that point of like, revenge trying to take over. And when you feel like once you accomplish that, it's like there's nothing left for you anymore. I'm just like, wow, just straight up wow. But yeah, since you brought up Frax, I'm glad you brought Frax up, Squall. I love Frax's story because it's just so sad. It's really, really sad. And I love, the emotional change. First of all, I got to give props to the voice actor. I forgot the name of the voice actor. I think it's Neil Kaplan, if I'm correct. That's the voice of Frax.
Neil Kaplan voiced him?
Eddie Frierson.
Oh, Eddie Frierson. Thank you. Thank you. Because I was watching the Time Force panel at the last PMC. He also was the voice of Emperor Zarkon and Voltron. So definitely got to give him props for vocal range. So he did a fabulous performance from, portraying, the change in Frax from wanting to, actually want to kill Ranzik. And then when Ranzik found his base and tried to, defend him, Frax is trying to defend himself. You hear the fear in his voice. I'm just like, that's just wow. It's just straight up wow. And then having to just, see the change in Nadira, how she wants to actually, she doesn't want to follow in her father's footsteps. She actually wants to change. And it's just when Frax tries to tell her to, break the chain of hatred, you hear that, intensity in his voice. I'm just like, where did this come from? It's just crazy. What do you think, Five? What do you think about Frax?
You pretty much nailed it down. He's another one that I'm just like, he's got a sad story. I hate that I feel bad, but it's really terrible. And then it's, he was beyond saving it, by the end of the not the end of the finale, but by the time the finale, he actually started revolting before the finale, but yeah, by that time he was like, it was too late for him to really change, but it really nailed it down to Nadira being that key factor to the downfall of everybody's hatred.
What about you, Vaughn? What are your thoughts on Frax?
For Frax, for me, Frax is very memorable to me because that one scene, the one scene that he had with Nadira, because when he saw the good in Nadira for like the last time, and that was like the time when his human side about to be completely gone. Because just seeing him like trying to like tell Nadira like there is hope, but then he's being taken away for he could be reprogrammed again, and it shows that he did try to rebel against he tried to rebel against Rancic majority of the time when he was on Time Force,
right?
But just that one scene, like hearing about his past and about like what happened to him overall, to just try to see like why he became a robot just to save himself. But it's just hard because I want to I hated him at first, but I felt very, very bad for him until he got reprogrammed and just became a robot overall.
Right. What about you, Squall? Because you did mention you did bring up Frax earlier. So what are your thoughts on Frax as a character?
I always like kind of the full body monster robot type characters. Like I love when we actually have like real actors like playing characters and like we can actually see expression. Like we have Rancic. We have I'm trying to think of the guy from Ninja Storm. We have like those real actors, not Master Org. That was
Lothar.
Lothar.
Yeah, Lothar. Yeah, the luchador. Like, obviously, as an adult, like watching it, I like to see those kind of like characters more. But like, I really just fell in love with as a kid, like the full body suit, because you can really imagine that. You can really kind of picture those types of characters. Like you look at like Rita Repulsa who's kind of quirky and goofy, versus Lord Zed, and you're like, holy shit, that's Space Satan. Like, so I've always felt like when I watch Time Force, like I always have that strong affinity with his character, just because, like, I don't know, it's sad on one part, but it's also like really terrifying and scary that he used to be a human and now he's this. Like, that's just kind of like where you can kind of get led. Now, maybe I'm just getting too meta with it and going down a rabbit hole, but I've always liked him. I like Frax.
I agree. I definitely agree. Let's talk about Eric, the Sixth Ranger. The first,
yes.
I want to say the first anti-hero Ranger, because we had Magna Defender before that, but Eric definitely is a Ranger, a Sixth Ranger that came a long way, because when I first, I had the Destiny arc on VHS, and when I was watching, those episodes, I saw how Eric wasn't, I didn't think of him as a jerk. I thought, he was like, part of the team, but he was just part of a different branch. But having to actually, watch the season multiple times and see where Eric came from, it's just, I'm like, oh, he was a jerk. He was never a nice guy. He was always a jerk. Okay. Snobbish Sixth Ranger. Like, okay, I'll try to take that. But just to see where he came from in the beginning and where he ended up, and of course showed up again in, the team up with Wild Force and Forever Red, you see how much Eric has changed. So I want to start with Vibe. What do you love so much about Eric, or what stands out about him?
He is, how do I explain this? I guess he's like the person from the wrong side of the tracks. He's very rough around the edges. He doesn't get along with anybody, and he chooses that. He literally chooses that way too. Until somewhere down the line, they're like, things would be better if you could start trusting us and like having some friends in your life. And then what was it? The Quantum Secrets episode is when we started seeing a little bit more of a better side to him, a more human side, a more a more nicer side to him. When I think it was his neighbor that was the little girl or something like that.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. She helped take care of the birds and everything. So he's such a jerk, but at the same time, like, he's learning very, very slowly. And then the what was I forgot the episode name, but where Trip was defending the mutant that
Trip takes a stand.
That's the one, yeah. And that was a serious episode right there too, where he had to like really learn that not all mutants are the same. You got to put that hatred aside, and that takes a lot. Mm-hmm. But I could go on forever actually talking about Eric.
What about you, Vaughn?
Well, all that Five just said about Eric is pretty much everything that I have to say, because Eric, like you said, he worked his way to school Wes was in, and like but the one thing I do want to say was that even though Wes saw that he didn't have that Eric didn't really have that much, Wes was still trying to be a good friend for Eric, just try to make sure that that he appreciated. But Eric was like, no, I don't need your help. I don't need anybody's help, because I'm trying to get this on my own, because he felt like he needed to work hard and like to prove himself to be worthy, because when he was joined by the Silver Guardians, he wasn't really the leader, the commander. He was just pretty much a soldier at that point until pretty much he got the Quantum Morpher, because he didn't really have anything else until Quantum Morpher showed up and he became a Quantum Ranger. So, but overall, you did see like Eric like a warm up a little bit until like the finale, because even though everybody knows that Eric was supposed to die in the season finale of Time Force, they had to reshot that just to make sure that he could come back for team ups and everything else. And plus, he was a very popular character too, from what I heard, because of ratings and everything else. So it showed that his legacy lived on, because it told like a really great story. Like, I moved up from the bottom and working the way up to the top, and also just to help shape his own future and like choose his own destiny and everything else. And also, plus Taylor with him and Taylor and Wild Force team up. And I'm like, he was a lucky man. I'm like, you got Taylor.
He was trying to get some of that Soaring Eagle. He was trying to get some of that Soaring Eagle.
Man, he was in his bag when when him and when he had his blaster out, trying to show like, oh, hold on there, hold on.
Like that's not for you. Oh man, I love that team up. So, what about you, Squall? What are your thoughts on Eric?
He's easily the best Six Ranger in my opinion. I think what really makes him strong is I always like when someone chooses the destiny, and I think that's kind of like the thesis of Time Force is it's all about our destiny. It's all about choosing our future and making that happen. And he really does. He literally jacks it and turns into the Quantum Ranger. And or is he the Quantum Ranger? Am I getting something mixed up?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know what I'm thinking of. And I just love his personality because he's very much like a Kamen Rider in a Sentai, and he says, "Oh, you're red? Nah, I'm red too. It doesn't matter." And he just kind of goes off to the beat of his own drum. And I think what really makes him, the actor Daniel, really kind of just fits everything perfectly is again on Let's Talk Toku. I talked with Kieran Ashley, and when she auditioned to become Mighty Morphin Yellow's replacement, she was in the same audition room with Dan Southworth.
Wow.
I remember you auditioned for that. Yeah.
He tried to break through so many times, and it was her group of Johnny and who played Rocky?
Steve.
Yeah. And it was that group that ended up having the chemistry that moved on. But he was really gunning for, red or black, and he could have been on Mighty Morphin, almost 10 years younger. But I think it really shows outside of the show, in just his life, the perseverance that he had personally to keep coming back to the show. And, eventually they kept saying, we love you. We think you're, be a really good fit. We'll find the right role for you. 10 years later, there it is, and it's perfect for him.
Definitely right. I think one of my favorite moments with Eric that stands out, definitely the moment between Wes and Eric in the finale where Wes just gives Eric the ultimate wake-up call, because we see all this, anger and hate in Eric, but we never know why. And then he lets it all out, just saying, I was dirt poor and I had to pull my life out together. And unlike you, who had everything handed to him on a silver platter. And when he was like, you and I have nothing in common. And then just once Wes gets all up in his face and pulls
except our spandex.
We are Power Rangers, Eric.
I love that line. I love that scene. That scene is Emmy material. That's Emmy winning scene work right there. I just love how he just gets in his face look at this. We are Power Rangers, Eric. And friends or not, we're the only hope the city has right now. Now let's do it. I'm just this is art right here. This is art. I love it.
And then they jump out the watchtower, exploding.
Right, Indiana Jones style out of the clock tower. It's beautiful. I love it. And funny enough, Vaughn, you mentioned, because you did mention that Eric was supposed to get killed off in the show, but of course they had to reshot that. Again, this is going into Time Ranger spoilers again, guys. So, like Eric's Sentai counterpart, Naoto, Time Fire, he is, of course, best. I wouldn't say best friends with Time Red, friends / rival. Yeah, frenemies / rivals. And again, the finale in Time Ranger, it just gets you right there. It's like the finale gets sadder and sadder and sadder all the way to the end. It just it just makes you, the ending of Time Ranger just makes you want to just bawl your eyes out. And Time Fire's, Naoto's death, which arguably I could say this is probably the saddest death in Sentai history next to Operate Killer's death. But now to see how Naoto goes from sticking up for himself, going at it alone, and then interacting with a child, and then he was like, where's your birds? I'm like, they flew away. And so it's he goes out there. First of all, the bro is wounded.
Yep.
Yeah,
bro,
he'd already gotten shot before.
He already got shot once.
Yep.
So I don't know what he was thinking just to go back out there. So homie goes back out into the battlefield, tries to get this girl's birds back. He's right there about to grab a Cyclobot, shows up, and this Cyclobot's alone and just snipes him right out of the. And the whole scene is quiet. You don't hear. All you just hear is the birdcage just drop, and it's just silent after that. What were your guys? What were your guys? Reaction to that scene? I want to start with Squall with this. What was your reaction to that whole scene in general?
I mean, obviously, it's very. I think Sentai likes to do that with their endings. I think they like to actually give it a definitive ending. Where nowadays Sentai and Rangers is more trying to keep it open. And so I really did appreciate it. Like, it's super sad. It reminded me a lot of Jetman, where if you're familiar with Jetman, they literally save the day. They defeat all the villains. Everything's good. And it's like a year later at a wedding, and Guy gets stabbed by a mugger and still crawls his way to the wedding to just, like, it's just like those unexpected events. It's very real. Like, it feels very, like, I don't know, like, it's just, it kind of hits you out of nowhere. And I really appreciated the ending to Time Ranger, because not a lot of media will give you that kind of an ending, will actually kind of give you that sort of twist, that kind of gut punch that I think amps up, an ending. Like, not necessarily a character has to die or has to, meet those sort of, like ends or have those kind of sad moments. But I think having something that's super definitive, kind of out of nowhere, that does work is super powerful. And I think it hit perfectly well at the end.
What about you, Five?
I usually hate when they kill any kind of ranger off, usually. So this one, like, obviously hit me. Comparing it to Jetman again, I was like, because I saw Jetman before I saw Time Ranger originally. And then so I was like, oh, come on, you're gonna kill him off like unnecessarily like that. It's just one shot from Cyclobot. But it was still very powerful, because when Tatsuya found him, in his last moments, he gives him the DV defender, not the DV defender, the his changer. And then he's like, his final words were "change it," and then that's it. That's like, it was such a powerful moment for Tatsuya to just like fight till the very end, until obviously the other Rangers come back in time. But it's like, I don't know, it's unnecessary, but at the same time it's powerful. And then later in the finale, we find out why he actually died too. So I don't want to spoil that for
we're not gonna y'all need to figure that out for yourself.
I'm trying my hardest not to spoil it.
Watch Time Ranger.
But talk about the death.
Just watch Time Ranger, y'all. Just watch.
I'm like, watch it. It's on Tubi TV for free. So you just go ahead and watch it. Watch it on Tokusatsu as well. It's for free as well. You go ahead and watch it.
Unnecessary, but there's a reason why it happened.
Yes.
And boy, it will make you pissed off.
I know,
you're gonna get a mixed range of emotions when you find out the reason why.
Yeah.
But what about you, Vaughn? Your reaction to Time Fire's death?
Man, I was shocked the whole time, because during that time when I was watching all of those, I was at my mom's house during that time. So, and I actually watched Jetman, I want to say 3 years before watching Time Ranger. So me not knowing anything about, I knew about Time Ranger. I watched that first few, like back before I watched the whole series. But me seeing the actual death and how it really affected everything, I'm like, damn. I'm like, this how it ends? I'm like, with Time Fire? I'm like, he was warming up, because he was just showing up to like the game, like to the hangout majority of the time, just showing up, even though they were like frenemies with him, like he was just showing up, hanging out. But as well as he got the badge from them was it a Christmas gift? They gave him the badge.
Yeah, it was a Christmas gift.
Yeah, so just learning about like what actually happened, like how he actually died. I'm like, come on. I was depressed the whole time watching the top finale. And I was, and good thing my mom wasn't there too, because she'll probably think I was weird just crying over a show with people. Hey, she's still look at me weird when I talk about that. Well, when I tell her what, she already know I still watch Power Rangers, so it really don't matter. So, so just seeing how it really affect like the whole show overall, it made the tone very, very well, especially since I said like Kobayashi's my favorite toku writer of all time. Like, this is the main reason why she's my favorite toku writer, because she knows how to write her some toku, like she does. And shout out to the actor, because I know that he's been on Twitter saying that he wants to come back, even though his character is dead. He still wants to come back.
Give him something, give him a role.
I might show him.
Make him a Kamen Rider for Pete's sake.
Showman Zenkaiger. Well, we can't say that because he was in Amazons and he did get killed in Amazons.
He got decapitated in
Amazons.
Yeah,
he got killed. So he wasn't Kamen Rider
out the car
for a wrong reason.
Oh jeez. Great.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
He actually told me, I tweeted at him one time because I was like, you know, I wanted to find out why he wasn't in Gokaiger. I wanted to see like if he was asked or not. And he said Toei never asked him to return for Gokaiger. So hopefully they ask him this time.
Yo, Toei, give the man a call. Give the man a call, all right?
I'm on it.
Call him up. Call him up. So this season also had a team up episode with the previous team, Power Rangers time Lightspeed Rescue, and the episode was titled Time for Lightspeed. Of course, we got, with usual team ups like this around this time, we will always get like a returning villain from the past season. So in this case, we got Vipera. Now, Time for Lightspeed, it's not up there. It's okay. It's an okay team up. I would think it would have been better if it was like, you know, a little bit long. If it was a two-parter, or if they brought back like a better character. But I was still okay with what this team up was, because as a kid, I ate those team up for breakfast. Whatever happened in those team ups, I would eat that up. But as I got older now, I'm just like, yeah, I can see this is not one of the best, but it's okay. What were your Five? What was your thoughts on Time for Lightspeed?
All right, so I actually almost didn't think there was gonna be a team up because like we were like very close to the end of Time Force almost,
right?
When the team up came out, so I'm like, when the Lightspeed Rangers coming back? When are they coming back? And then finally, I see the preview for the next episode where Viper pops out of the ground out of nowhere. I'm like, okay, Viper's coming back. So I'm assuming we're getting a two-parter. Then we didn't get a two-parter when the episode came out. So I was a little confused. I was like, that's it? Really? It's but if I guess it was all right. It's not really my favorite team up. I do appreciate how they all use their battleizers and mega battle
toys. Gotta promote the toys
in the final fight, because if you know me, I'm a huge sucker for battleizers and any kind of armor or anything like that for Power Rangers to use. So it was nice to see like literally all 5-6 of those battleizers all together like that. And I guess both cats kind of like meshed well together also in a way, but like it was mostly the interaction between Carter and the rest of them,
right?
Because he was in the episode more. I do wish it was a two-parter. Obviously, it would have probably been a little bit higher in my team up list. So, yeah. Also, the ending of Time Force, as I watched more Sentai and everything, the ending of it felt like a Sentai. The end of a Sentai team up.
It does. Yeah, it does. It does.
When they switch their jackets and all that.
Very, very nice scene.
I had something for that one.
So what about you, Vaughn? What are your thoughts on Time for Lightspeed?
So the only part that I remember from that team up was the ending when they put on the jackets and said Lightspeed Rescue. That's the only thing I remember from that team up. I don't know why. It's the only thing that just pops up because you have because like you said, Viper is a villain. I didn't really care for Viper for Lightspeed Rescue because she was whack.
No disrespect to the actress.
I seen her interview. She's a nice woman. She's a very nice woman. But the character she played was not that great. But it was I would say it was all right, but like I said, there's not a lot I can remember from this except from the final part. And it did feel like a Sentai team up after that part.
It definitely did. It really did. What about you, Squall? What was your thoughts on Time for Lightspeed?
Here, let me set up for this moment.
Oh no.
There, I have to go to the professional camera.
Oh, we have to change the whole camera angles. I like that.
I don't remember this team up. That's it.
She was trying to steal like a bunch of crystals and stuff, and Carter was like, "I need you guys' help because the world is gonna get destroyed." That's all I remember from the team up, and I rewatched it like 2 years ago, so I should have a better memory, but that's still all I remember.
I mean,
Squall, I hate you for that.
And then everybody had cell phones too. Every single Ranger had cell phones,
right? Like no one
All
had
right,
their
we
morpher
get
on.
it.
No one had their morpher on with them except for Carter.
And then
But
what was I gonna say? Joel gets blackballed on his own honeymoon.
bruh,
Thank
that's
you.
the worst. That's the worst.
I would, if I was him, I wouldn't have gone. I'd be like, "You guys can handle it. I'm going on my honeymoon."
I'm like, guys, do you realize how hard I was trying to get with this woman? I'm like, and I actually put a ring on it, and we're about to go to Hawaii on our honeymoon, and you want me to come back and save the world? I'm retired, man. Get me out of here.
I'll next day ship my hat to you. Find somebody else to wear it.
Exactly. Like someone else is the new Sky Cowboy. I'm done with this. I'm not a Ranger no more. Get me out of here,
I'm like, leave me alone. I'm trying to go to Dream Girls and be a part of the Fat Albert's gang,
bro. And next thing you know, I'm gonna be having Christmas with Chris Brown. Bro, shout out to whatchamacallit, Joel's actor.
Keith Robinson.
Shout out to
cool
Keith
guy to
Robinson.
meet at PMC. Also, he was a nice guy.
Yeah, shout out to Keith Robinson. Brother's doing his thing in the business. He made his name. He put his foot in the door. Definitely
still is at this point.
Still is.
Keith sings.
Yep, exactly. Got them pipes. But yeah, for me, with Time for Lightspeed, like I said, it's an okay team up. It's an okay. The thing that I always laugh at is when all the Battleized Rangers show up, and then when they're about to do the final attack, they fire at Viper and Quarganon, and then immediately they're just gone. I'm like, that's the most embarrassing effect I have ever seen. Especially this is a team up, which makes it even more embarrassing. It just looked terrible. And another thing I just kind of upsets me a little bit. Ranzig and Nadira are right there when the Rangers morph, and there's like, okay, we're not needed. Let's go back to the lair, Nadira. They can handle this. Viper got this taken over. I'm just like he was right there with them. I'm like, dude, aren't you gonna fight? Aren't you gonna join? These are the Rangers that have been pissing you off all season. Aren't you gonna fight? And I'm just like, come on. But
can we talk about how Eric and Ryan randomly show up in the middle of the team up?
Bro,
just in time to morph with them.
I'll take it because the line that
Ryan has been.
Look, the fact that Eric found Ryan, that's the real thing. I was like, where did you find? I'm like, where did you find him? You know what? Forget it. Ryan comes out of the car saying, "You mean 12?" I'm like, okay, up in the numbers, up in the team up. I see what you did. But okay. It, like I said, the team up was okay. I love the jacket exchange. Of course, the jacket exchange is probably the standout scene, and we get to see the Lightspeed Rangers in their actual career. Dana becomes a doctor.
Yep.
Chad is a lifeguard. I don't know what Kelsey's doing.
She was getting ready for a competition, or she wasn't a competition. I don't even know anymore.
Extreme sport. Look, extreme sports.
She's climbing somewhere.
She was rollerblading.
She's rollerblading. Like Kelsey is a bag. It's a mixed bag. That's basically what it is with Kelsey. So we also, as far as the Time Force Rangers, they do come back, and I know this is kind of going into the Wild Force territory. I was gonna we'll talk about it again when Wild Force turns 20 next year, but the Time Force, everyone from Time Force returns in reinforcements from the future, and this is by far, I will die on this hill, don't at me, reinforcements from the future is the best Power Rangers team up ever. And you cannot at me on that. Just sit down and watch the team up for yourself, both parts, and come back to me. And you'll see why I say that's the best team up.
You know what? Because you just said don't at you, I'm going to at you.
Oh my!
I'm gonna have to at you also.
Oh my God! See, here we go. I'm already.
It's definitely top 3, but it's not top 1 for me.
Nah,
Look,
it's not top 1 for me.
Forever Red is awesome. I love Forever Red, but man,
I gotta do the In Spacing Lost Galaxy team up. That
that's in my top 3. That's in my top 3.
That changed Lost Galaxy going forward for me.
That's in my top 3.
And my number one is the Dino Thunder Ninja Storm team up. That's my number 1 always. That's actually my
top 3.
That's my second favorite one. But we get to see everyone from Time Force come back. Well, all the people who are still alive, that is. But everybody from Time Force comes back. You know, Wes and Eric, of course, are in charge of the Silver Guardians. You know, the main Time Force Rangers are now, of course, in the year 3001. Mute Orgs show up. And we also get more details on Ranzik's backstory and how he actually got his powers in the first place. Mm-hmm. So many things are revealed in this team up that I just felt like, wow. I mean, they didn't have to do that, but they did. And on top of that, Koichi Sakamoto directed that team up as well. So, hello.
Listen, Leather Jen coming running down the mountain.
Bruh.
9-year-old he was.
Come on, man.
Oh, man.
Bruh. Like, what else can I say about that team that has not been said in the last 19 to 20 years?
Like, and she was coming out like this.
It's perfect. Like, it's a perfect team up.
It's with coming down looking like Lara Croft from Tomb Raider and everything, coming equipped with a shotgun. I'm just like,
yeah, she's ready to snipe.
Girl, just like.
And then it ends right. Part 1 ends right there.
Yeah, part 1 ends right there. Like, Vaughn, what is it about reinforcements from the future that makes it amazing?
Well, although it's not a top 1 team up, but it is a goated team up. For one, it continues the story of Time Force, which is great because you get learn more about like how Rancid got all his powers and like how it's tied to the orgs and everything else. Let's see what else. The chemistry was great because I know I just meant yes, Psycho O's. I do have 2 Ethans on deck on me, so
he's getting 3 Ethans.
3 Ethans coming soon. But going back to Time Force though, on the team up, definitely the chemistry was the best part of it because you have like the cast of Wild Force and the cast of Time Force team up together. And like I said before, you have the chemistry between Eric and Taylor because they met each other while Taylor was driving and Eric just gave her a ticket. And then next thing you know, they built that chemistry. Come on now.
She's trying to talk her way out again, trying to pay for that ticket.
I know, just talk it away and be like, Eric's like, no, you're not getting out of this. But just seeing like how much, like how well they work together, especially since none of the cast worked together before, because of course Wild Force is the season of. But I would probably say that my favorite part of that team up episode was the final part, just them having a great time, having like a
whole Power Rangers content.
You see Max dancing like this. And then just like they're just having a great time. It just shows like how well you can pretty much pay tribute to both casts, like, and just like continue on with the legacy of Time Force with Wild Force, and it just feels right.
I definitely agree. What about you, Five?
Yeah, it's that like I guess it's just like what we said about the Time Force cast in general. They just add this charm to whatever they're in, basically. So them interacting with the Wild Force Rangers and then Wes dropping the line, kind of like subtly hinting at Forever Red, saying that, there's a bunch of other Rangers out there besides, you guys, doing the same thing and stuff. Mm-hmm. Just seeing how everybody had changed as well for the better. I enjoyed how the Time Force Rangers were a little nervous about going to Rancic for help, but they had no choice but to go to Rancic for help because like he's the only one who knows how to stop these mute orgs. Mm-hmm. And the fact that this team up basically is his origin story further into it as well is just it's really the icing on the top right there. And then of course the amazing action. I think like the one standout moment is when like the Silver Guardians are like rushing to the plaza or whatever to fight the mute orgs for the very first time, and then they almost get washed, and then the Wild Force Rangers step in to help them out and stuff. I think that was like a really good like meeting of both teams, because then when they demorph, Taylor's like, "You just gave me a ticket like an hour ago. What the hell?" But yeah, it's like a very good team up for its own season, and then at the same time, it's like a good like stepping in point for like the broader Power Rangers universe in a way.
It definitely is. Definitely. What about you? Well, first of all, Squall, did you watch the team up? You have to change the camera angles again to say like I didn't watch it.
No, I did watch it. This one was part of the Wild Force season, so that was one that I did get to see on there because with Power Rangers being on Netflix, I didn't get a chance to ever go back and watch it just because I got onto Sentai and that's kind of like where I've been. So like anytime I'm like, oh, I should watch this Power Ranger season, I'm like, I can just watch the Sentai one, you know? That's how I feel ultimately. But like this one did stand out to me the most because this is the team up where they have like the 40, 50 foot like smoke bombs that go up when they transform, right?
Yeah, I love those.
I always wanted something like that for like the 4th of July, and I wanted to just stand there and I just picture like the suit actors just as this wave and wafting smoke just
multiple shots everywhere. Those in that same smoke, with like boom, boom, boom,
and like boom, boom. I love those color explosions. Those are amazing to look at. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say for this team that hasn't been said. Of course, like I said, I guess another standout moment for sure in that team up, like you said, Vaughn, is when they had to go to Ranzik. Because, you know, they, especially how...
1 out of 5.
Oh, it was 5.
I said that, yeah.
Oh, my bad.
It's all right, don't worry. I know we're very, you know, similar. It's okay. I didn't say we look alike. Don't start doing that now.
I wasn't going to say that. Trust me, I wasn't.
I was.
Oh, man. But yeah, oh my gosh. Yeah.
Oh, there's one thing I do want to add about the team up.
Oh, go ahead.
So Wild Force was a weird time for me. I think it was like I was starting to lose interest in Power Rangers actually because of that season.
Okay.
I still watched it every week, but I'm like, I was like, I don't really care that much. But the Time Force team up with Wild Force, Reinforcements from the Future, that's what kind of like got me interested back with Power Rangers again. I was like, all right, now I can watch this. I can start watching Power Rangers again, like actually feeling something inside of me again. But yeah, I was like dangerously close to like stop watching Power Rangers after, or sometime maybe during Wild Force if it was like still wasn't hitting it for me. But
bro, that was me at the end of Super Mega Force. I'm about to say, I'm done with Power Rangers now. I can't do this no more. But and then Dino Charge came in the picture. Like, you know what? Maybe I'll stay.
Yeah.
But I mean, I love the team up for what it was.
Yeah.
I think my favorite standout moment besides the action and everything is how when Ranzik was, you know, telling everybody, you know, his story on how he created the Mutorgs in the first place. And when he was like, you know, if you trust me, I love how all eyes were on Jen at that moment because it's a it's a story element of continuation of just how Jen was the one to slap the cuffs on him at the end of Time Force. And it was her decision or no go if this, you know, this plan was going to work. And I just love how she was like, you know, no matter how much we want to, we can't change the past, but we could still move forward to a better future. So that moment of exchange of how, you know, she was the one to arrest him. She's got to be the one to make the final call because Jen basically is the leader of the Time Force Rangers at this pretty much.
Yeah.
So it was her call. Is whatever she says goes. So I loved that moment. I always think of like a side what if moment. Like, what if she just like takes the cuffs off him and then the Ranger just be like, aha, I gotcha. You're like, no, aha, you thought I was gonna help you. Nope. Kill y'all. Like, massacre the entire enemy area. Like, I deserve to take over this timeline again, not some orcs. I was like, imagine if just a what if scenario if Ranzik just decided to like go full on like, nah, I'm not helping y'all.
Also, Ranzik, what was I gonna say? He helped start Sub Hyperforce as well.
Yes,
in the comics.
Yes.
So,
yes. Oh, I'm glad that you brought that up.
Shout out for that.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up because I was gonna save that like towards the end.
Oh, my bad.
No, it's okay. We could get that topic done out of the way now. Did any of you guys read Sins of the Future?
I did.
Okay. I did not.
Okay.
I am indifferent about it.
Squall has to change.
Squall's like, nah.
I guess I'm a little bit nicer than Squall.
Squall had to change the camera. He was like, "Nah, I didn't read it."
All right, let's be honest. I didn't like it that much. I'll be honest.
I can understand because I felt very iffy about it. Like as I was reading it, I was like, "Oh, this is good." I kind of like what they're doing here because it's kind of starts out funny. I gotta give Jen props for trying to do like a whole long distance relationship when she's like 1,000 years in the future and what's 1,000 years in the past. So the fact that she tried to do the whole time traveling bit thing, so I'm like, "Hey Wes, we're ready. I'm ready for our date." I'm like, this girl just actually traveled 1,000 years just to have a date. I'm like, okay, I'll give her
an Italian restaurant.
I'm like,
hell of a booty call.
Okay, I'll give her effort for that. Okay, but it's just the stuff that gets revealed later on, like close to like in the middle of the graphic novel towards the end. We see so many things. We see like the spirit of Frax is still alive, which is a weird moment. We know that the Time Force Black Ranger is Alex's sister, which never got brought up at all in the show.
Yeah.
And we also get revealed that Nadira is married, but not to Lucas. She's married to Hyperforce
Yoshi
Green.
Sudarso.
I'm just like, what?
Oh
He's
yeah.
married to Yoshi Sudarso.
Because that did happen.
I'm like, what?
Yeah, in the Hyperforce show, they were planning for their wedding.
Yeah, they were.
And then in the comic now they're happily ever after in the comic.
I'm like, so Nadira actually got married, but it wasn't to the person we all expected it to.
Right, yeah.
Wait, was Yoshi in the comic?
He was not in the comic. There was a picture. There was a photograph.
Oh, okay. I know he was mentioned. I know he was mentioned, but
there was like a photograph of him on Nadira's desk because I was like, okay, so she got married to Hyperforce Green. I'm like, I'm not happy about that, but whatever. But it's just there's just so much things that that happens. It just adds more stuff to the story, but it ends up being like it brings in more plot holes that are just not explained at all.
Right, because I was a little confused about. I like the whole concept of the whole Outpost 1 thing, how it exists out of time and space. I like that a lot, actually. Yeah. I think it's a great concept to introduce for Power Rangers. But when Frax or like Frax, whatever the other Frax lookalike was named,
I call it the Ghost of Frax.
Yeah, the Ghost of Frax. He said he pulled an Eltarian from time or something. Was that supposed to be Zordon? Because he called him Z also, so I'm like, is that supposed to be Zordon or something? I really don't know, because he's talking about putting him in a time warp or something like that. So I was like, all right, this is confusing.
Right, it was completely just. I did not like it. See, I love Boom Studios, what they do for the Power Ranger comics, and I know they like to create graphic novels. Just sometimes these epilogue graphic novels tend to be hit or miss. Of course, I still say Soul the Dragon has got to be like the best one, but out of the rest of them,
I agree.
I can agree for that one too.
Yeah, but as far as like the other ones, it's like you're adding things that didn't need to be added, because like even with the Psycho Ranger book, I'm like,
I don't even want to get into that one.
I know. I just have to bring that up. I'm not going into full detail on that.
Oh, 5. We know.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just like, okay, y'all did not need to do that, but
right,
whatever.
Exactly.
But I say I liked half of the book. The other, like the first half of the book was fine. The second half was just.
I think that's fair.
Didn't need to happen. And since I did mention Alex, we didn't talk about Alex at all. I'll start with 5. What were your thoughts on Alex at first?
I was so like before, I forget what episode they zoomed in on like his face to show the glasses and everything. I think it was like during
I think that was the Time Shadow episode, I believe.
Was it that, or was it like another episode like a little bit after that where like they specifically zoom in on his face and you could just tell it was Alex too. That's where I knew. I was like, how the hell is this guy alive? What the hell? I saw him die in front of my eyes.
Like, dude.
Because during the Time Shadow episode, I'm like, all right, who's clearly it's not Captain Logan who's sending the Time Shadow, because they don't even know. So I have no idea. But then like there was a certain shot where they like had an angle from him and you could just tell it was Jason Font as
and
Alex.
That hairline.
Yeah, it was.
That hairline.
So I was like, how is Alex still alive? What the hell's going on? And then he pops up out of nowhere acting like a jerk in 2001.
It's just ridiculous.
Give me your morphing. Fall in line, Rangers.
What about you, Vaughn? What are your thoughts on Alex Vaughn?
Can I curse on here?
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go free range.
Alex is an asshole.
Of course
he's a legit asshole. I couldn't stand the hell out of him. He can burn in hell. I hated his jet black hair. I hated his personality.
You don't like his wig,
weird
bro?
Glass. Hell no.
I wonder how long Jason Vaughn had to sit in hair and makeup just to get that wig on.
That thing had to be itchy, bro.
I know.
Sure it was.
But it sold me to like me because Jason Vaughn's performance as Alex sold me to Alex because you can tell that he was an asshole, and I just like, you know what? I'm not even gonna say the next curse word. I'm just gonna say you. Just I don't care about you. But you know what? You're selling me on this role, Jason Font. You're really selling me on this role because you're also happy as Wes. He's so happy as Wes, but when you play Alex and like with a stone face like this,
like I know him. I don't like this character.
I'm like, I don't like your tone and I don't like your face, but you're the same face as Wes. So.
What about you, Squall? What are your thoughts on Alex?
So going back to stupid little Squall moment here. You can put Time Force in a list of all these movies that tricked me as a kid thinking that there were two people when it was only the same actor.
Yes.
I felt that way too. Don't worry.
That was me.
Lindsay Lohan, there's only one of them. That's just how I felt. Like he played it really good. He played it really like it never crossed my mind. It never like for an instant I thought that they were the same person, the same actor, right. You know, because I just like it's so polar opposite. Like even though watching it back, you know, it's just like, oh, okay, like it's pretty obvious. And it's, you know, he's not the greatest Shakespearean actor that he can throw it one way or the other, but he did enough to confuse Little Squall. So I was like, hey, props
same
to
as
that.
Little Vaughn, because Little Vaughn was confused.
Yeah, Little Five was confused also.
Yeah, Little Blackwing was definitely confused about that. But for me, again, Alex is just straight up, like Vaughn said, he's an asshole. I hated his gut. I remember when I first watched the Destiny arc, which I had it on VHS, and I was like, who is this guy? And like, who's Alex? Because I didn't start Time Force at the beginning like, you know, everybody else did. But it was just like, why is he so mean? Why is he taking Wes's morpher? What is going on here? I don't like what's happening. And as you know, as I got older, and when I noticed this when I was watching my last rewatch last week, I was like, the time shift is shifting. I was like, wait a minute, what do you mean it's shifting? And I'm thinking about it, like, when you showed up, nothing happened. Nothing is going on. The future is perfectly fine. Nothing's shifting, nothing's changing, everything is perfectly fine. So I'm like, why the hell are you really here? Why are you here? And I'm just like, he probably just came here just to be an asshole and just like, you know what, that's it. I'm taking my powers back. I'm just like, first of all, the Rangers have been doing just fine. I mean, granted, yes, you did help out by sending in the time shadow. Thank you for that. But you've been watching them the entire time. You see the work that they've been doing. They've been doing perfectly fine. Yes, you're the one that told them Frax has broken away from Rancic. But the future wasn't shifting at all. It was totally fine. Like nothing happened. You're coming back here and trying to take over the team is putting them on a losing streak. So like, if you see,
I want to talk about Alex again when you're done.
Sure. Just like, if you see the way how you're leading, first of all, I know Alex is basically Wes's descendant, but I'm just like, if you look at the way Wes was working with the Rangers and you see the way how you're working with the Rangers, I'm pretty sure you didn't take a good look in the mirror and say like, oh, I don't think I'm doing this right.
The future is now, old man.
Exactly. And on top of that, your fiance is the one, you told your fiance to take over the team, to continue the mission, and you don't see the work that she was putting in?
Disrespectful.
Something is wrong with you. Like, you need to like, someone needs to, you need to take a look in the mirror and say like, oh, I told my fiance to do this mission. I'm like, apparently, oh snap, I was like, I hate Alex.
I was
hate
hype as hell when Jen gave the ring back in
Oh,
the finale.
she made
the
Like,
right.
thank God.
She made
Thank
the
God.
right decision. I'm like,
Alright.
she was about to end up in a relationship, a marriage that she didn't want to be in. But yeah, Vaughn, you were about to say something else about Alex.
Yeah, I'm about to say, because Alex, when I saw him, I'm like, look, I don't like your tone, big guy. And big guy and Rusty's not even on yet right now. So you need to calm down.
Hey, that was a good show.
And I know. But looking at what Alex did and comparing it to like how Time Ranger did it, I was thinking like, why are you trying to shift everything when and going back in Time Ranger trying to realize who's the actual who's like pretty much the main bad guy of Time Ranger. You can pretty much put like two and two together, like who's the main true bad guy of Time Ranger is. But but seeing Alex do all this, I'm like, you're just acting like a jerk. You're just acting like an asshole. Stop doing this. Like, leave it alone. Like you're being foolish. Like please get off my screen because you're being foolish at this moment. So I just pretty much feel like it's one of those things that they were trying to adapt from Power Ranger, but it still kind of didn't really make sense to me as a kid, or still now. Just like why Alex is still a thing, but it's Power Rangers,
Yeah, they gotta adapt everything, but I'm glad I'm just like picked up on it now because I'm just like he had no reason to be there. He really had no reason to be there.
A little wild card.
Was there anything like in the show, because I haven't seen it in a while, is there anything written where like the time is viewable, or like the time is like they don't know what the future holds, or was it constant, like a constant flow?
Basically what it is, there is one episode called Future Unknown because they don't know what actions they have might affect the future, and there are some moments throughout the show where like stuff is being invented that should have been invented yet. So there is aspects of that, but Alex is in the future and he can see everything. He's pretty much being Nick Fury, like keeping his eye on them.
Well, what if he saw the future and he saw them lose, but they need one final swift kick in the ass, so he comes back to be a douche to put them in gear and say, "Look, guys, we can do better than this guy. We got this."
But it's
I wish it was like that, but
I wish.
And it's funny that you said that, Swell, because he did tell them in the in the finale, saying like, you guys don't make it back, you guys don't save the future. So I'm just like, I try to see. That's the point. Like, at this point, I'm overthinking it. It's Power Rangers. Just go with it. Just go with it. Just pretty much just go with it. Just go with it. It's Power Rangers at this point. Just go with it. But yeah, I hate Alex. I hate his character. I never liked him. And the fact that he has a sister that we never knew about just makes it even worse.
Yeah, I just don't care about the sister.
I'm just like, okay, I'm like, I didn't like your brother, so I don't care about you. So
wait,
her sister to Jen was like what Wanda was to Thanos. She's like, you took everything away from me, Jen. She's like, I don't even know who you are.
Exactly. I was like, I don't even know who you are. Like, who are you? It made no sense. It really made no
was
sense.
weird.
So this season had 40 episodes, which I could say, what were you guys, favorite episodes of this season?
Okay.
Let's start with 5.
All right. I'm trying to go in season order, but I guess I can't. Quantum Quest was a good one, obviously, because the way Eric became the Quantum Ranger was crazy. The whole everything around him was blowing up, and then he just arises from the fire. This was so crazy. What was it? The Trip Takes a Stand. That was spread an important message, especially when 9/11 had just happened, like right before as well. That's a very important message, and I'm gonna get to how much Time Force means to me, and how much it meant to me as a kid because of that. Also, that whole Dawn of Destiny 3-part episode, that was like really important for the franchise as a whole, because that's like Power Rangers at its finest, like I mentioned earlier.
That whole episode, that whole saga was like a real talk.
When Power Rangers does that, acts like, tries to like stray away from like talking down to its audience, that's what it could be like. That's exactly what it could be like right there. And then of course the finale was just bonkers. It was crazy. The buildings were flying into the sky and everything, into the time portals and stuff. And then like Wes is just fighting alone with like a whole army of Cyclobots surrounding him. Like there's parts you think he's gonna die, and then of course the rest of the team comes back, and then it was crazy. It really was.
Definitely. What about you, Vaughn? What are some of your favorite episodes?
Before I get to my favorite episode, Psycho O's. I know you said that about the Time Force dance video. Because of that, give me a few days. Give me a few days. And also, I know it's late for you, Psycho O's, but I hope you have a great night. I know that you can't join in, but I hope you have a great night. Enjoy the rest of your time.
Have a good night.
If you still stay with us, but if not, have a good night. But my favorite episodes, there's of course I'm gonna be the basic one and say, okay, Movie Madness is one of my favorite ones.
One of the most creative, off the wall episodes of Power Rangers ever made, and it was a 2-parter.
I think they actually wanted that to be the movie or something like that, or a movie, I believe.
Wow.
I think I used to hear that tossed around in like panels and stuff, but I don't know how true that is.
Yeah, it was. I really did enjoy it because you saw the different the actors in different styles. Because you saw Eric at Tarzan and or Georgia the Jungle, whichever one was around that time. Let me see. Jen was a karate kung fu master. Yep. What Luke was a samurai. Trip and West was doing a western. And
the Wild West. Took a trip to the Wild West.
But looking at everything from what happened, seeing everything different was great. Especially they would have too much fun on that back lot. Cause weren't they on the Universal back lot for that one too? For
it looks
I think so. I don't know.
It definitely could have been a studio backlot for sure.
Yeah, because they were having too much fun. I'm this is bonkers. I'm this is the best time. But definitely Movie Madness for me. That was one of my favorites. The one when Katie went back to the past, I forgot the name of it.
Oh, Legends of the Clock Tower.
Oh,
yes,
that one.
I not when I was a kid. I didn't really understand it, but watching it again. Years after, I'm how the dialogue was for that one. It was really, really great. Especially you saw you get sense a little bit of the times because you saw she was the odd person out because know
she was getting the looks.
She was getting the looks,
and she was also a woman of color. So
yeah, I know. Yeah, so I was I don't like how they're looking at her like that. I don't like that.
But because she's a woman of color, she has that black girl.
Yeah.
Oh man. You gotta tell Deborah that when you see her at Power Morphicon, you gotta tell her you just bring up if they let. I'm pretty sure they probably won't let you in with a bottle.
No, they won't.
I just want you.
PMC after dark.
Yeah, just be hey, yo, Deborah. I just want you to know that you got that black girl magic.
It was that episode pretty much was a good episode, especially a learning lesson because it wasn't really dealt with the whole the normal Time Force thing. It was pretty much helping out the past and learning pretty much helping out what she had to learn from that, and that was impactful for me. But my favorite overall episode of Time Force, I want to say, I don't know why Luke. It's a Lucas episode, but it's the driving one.
Which one? Because there's two.
There's two driving ones.
The one when he had to do his when his friend came back. What was that one?
That's a good one.
That
was my favorite one because of that chemistry between that, and also watching that with Time Ranger. That became one of my favorite episodes for some reason. Even though I don't like Lucas that much as a Time Force Ranger, but that one of my favorite episodes.
Fast and Furious came out that same year too.
Yes, that is also true.
Might have been around that time. Who knows?
You're right. Son of a yeah. Fast and Furious did come out. Wow. Just imagine a Fast and Furious episode of Power Rangers. Wait, technically, we already got that with RPM. That's yeah. All right, Squall. So, what was some of your favorite episodes of Time Force?
I mean, Movie Madness really kind of cemented a lot of my love for filmmaking and kind of like just that goofy aspect that Power Rangers can sometimes do. And like looking back at it, like it really reminds me of my favorite V Cinema. If you guys ever watched the Shinkenger V Cinema,
I love that one. I love that one.
And I don't know,
Funny.
it's so good. And another notable one I think we should talk about, even just briefly, is it was called Circuit Unsure, episode 36.
Beautiful
episode. I know what you're about to say.
With the dedication there to Trui Chang, and
that broke my heart.
Yeah,
I had no idea that even happened until I saw that dedication.
Right?
I had no idea that happened.
It's so hard too, because like back then, like the internet wasn't a thing. Like if you didn't know who that was, like I remember going to school and people were just like, "Oh, the Yellow Ranger in Time Force died," and I was like, "No, that was the Yellow Ranger in the original Mighty Morphin."
Yeah.
And it was just like there was so much like misinformation because you're dumb little kids.
Right.
But I just remember like hearing that for years, as everyone thought that Time Force Yellow had passed away. And it was no, but it's such a nice that they were able to do that while the show was still on and kind of put that there. And it was just, I don't know, it's very sad and heartbreaking to see. Yeah. And I'm just glad that they did that, because they don't really do that for any of the other actors that have passed on, nowadays with Rangers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which really does kind of show that this is, more like Fast and the Furious. This is family.
Family. It was definitely family. All right, for me, favorite episodes, of course, Movie Madness is up there because that show is just, off the walls. That's creative free. That's like creative freedom at its finest. I'm like, what other episode of Power Rangers has given you like creative freedom to actually just, do something so non-Power Ranger-esque?
Code on a baseball team.
Oh my gosh, the fact that you said Kodo on the baseball team, I just got reminded back to the DJ episode in Turbo where he tried to perfect his baseball swing. I'm just like, oh yeah.
Hey, that's one of my favorite episodes of Turbo.
So yeah, like Power Ranger does has a fair share of baseball episodes, so I'll give him that. Circuit Unsure, definitely for the dedication to Tui Trang. Quantum Secrets, because we get to see like a opening upside to Eric. Trust and Triumph, because we got to learn on why Jen is so stone cold, but why she doesn't really like open herself up. And I love the exchange between Wes and Jen in that scene, because he was like Wes was like the only one that pretty much spoke out on Jen's attitude as a leader. But like, you expect us to follow your lead, but you don't open up. I'm just like, oh snap, he crossed the line there. He got guts. And he was like, right guys, and like, you're on your own with that one. So I'll get that episode is definitely a great one. And I guess I gotta say the Destiny arc. The Destiny arc is just really, it stands out so much, and also it kind of coincides with the other episode, Clash of Two Worlds, of wanting to do your own, stepping into your own, want to make your own steps, make your own decision, because that's what I love so much about the Destiny arc. And I just it's also a real message as a whole, because we always have those individuals in our lives that want to create our own path, but deep down we want to make our own decisions, we want to make our own future. It's just like we each make our own destiny, so we all have that thing a part of us that just that wants us to make our own way. So that's why I feel like the Destiny arc as a whole stands out for me as the top one, because it just speaks real life stuff into it. And of course Trips Takes a Stand, because that's an episode focusing on racial inequality, racial bigotry. That's a real life situation as a whole, so definitely
still relevant today.
Yes,
hell yeah.
Unfortunately,
hell yeah. Yeah, fortunately it still is relevant today. But man, I'm just amazed. I'm just happy to be talking about, my favorite season with you guys. I really do appreciate, you guys taking the time out of your Sunday evenings to even be here. So
thank you for having us. Seriously.
I really do appreciate
you reached out to us.
So I feel honored that you guys even said yes, because I just feel like I feel like I'm a bitch out of, on the bottom of the food chain compared to you guys. I'm just like,
you kicked ass at this.
What is good? Food chain? What are you talking about?
bro, the stuff that y'all be doing, Legion of Boom podcast, Squall having this time for Toku thing. I'm just like, yo, what am I?
We just
doing?
do our thing and that's it, you know.
I dance freely for no reason.
To a song he doesn't even like.
Exactly.
It's just that evolution revolution, baby. Shout out to my girlfriend Lauren, who's out on the couch just watching this, having no idea what the hell we're talking about. Even
shout out to Lauren. Shout out to Lauren.
Tell her that, mister.
I do want to say one thing for Time Force. Obviously, you know, we were little kids when 9/11 happened,
right?
And it was very, it was a very unsure, chaotic time. But Power Rangers was always there for me, still, you know, in those trying times. And I got to give it up for Time Force because it really did spread a lot of relevant messages that were going, you know, that we were dealing with as a country, as a world, especially during those times. So that's what I could really take away, aside from the fact it's a awesome season in general. It's just the whole, you know, the message it spreads because obviously, you know, for us as humanity, we want a better future and we have to get over these messages and stuff. We have to get over these issues, you know, together somehow. So yeah,
definitely. But again, happy 20th anniversary to Power Rangers Time Force. Shout out to the entire cast: Jason Font, Deborah Phillips, Kevin Kleinberg, Aaron Cahill, Michael Capone, Dan Southworth, Vernon Wells, everybody, all the cast and crew, Koichi Sakamoto, who was the director for majority of the season, Chip Lin, and Jackie Marchand, who wrote majority of the episodes this season. Thank you guys so much for creating such a phenomenal season that's still loved to this day, and it's a fan favorite throughout the entire Power Rangers fandom. So before we close out, I just want to give you guys a chance to, you know, plug yourselves in. So Squall, where can everybody find you?
All right, hold on.
Stand up.
You guys can find me on my YouTube. I do weekly videos right now with Power Rangers. We're basically doing a tournament called Versus, where we're debating what is the greatest season of Power Rangers. Unfortunately, Time Ranger is no longer active. But yeah, you can find me on there. You can find me on Twitter at Squall Charleston, or you can check me out on Tokushoutsu with the show Let's Talk Toku, where I even talk with Koichi Sakamoto, and, you know, a bunch of the other Power Ranger actors always have good stories, and it always finds its way to Time Force.
Me and Vaughn
somehow.
are on there too.
Yeah,
yes. These two were on there. I watched both of their episodes.
All right, I'm gonna sit down now. I did one of these, like I think, Vaughn, it was that Zenkaiser thing where we were talking about, you know, like the announcement and everything. 5, you were there. I was standing that whole time.
Oh really?
Oh yeah, you
because I had the one camera set up.
Oh man.
Oh my god.
I didn't even notice, to be honest.
I'm just kicking back in this.
My whole life is a lie now, Squall.
So 5, where can everybody find you?
You can finally if you want to see me daily, you can find me on Twitter at Sentai5. I always, either if I'm not talking about any of my edits, I'm always just talking about shows that I watch or some bullshit theories. Sorry, I cursed, but
it's fine.
Some BS Power Ranger theories that just randomly pop into my head, or I'm talking about any Kamen Rider or Sentai that I'm watching. I'm an avid toy collector as well, so you'll see some toy pics on there. If you only want to see my videos, then hop over to my YouTube channel, Sentai5 Official. I try to upload once a week. Now I'm trying to, but I have a very busy schedule with, you know, what's going on in my life with work and all that. But yeah, it's pretty much where you can find me.
And this man's edits, he does the Lord's work with them edits. Them edits are beautiful.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thank you. Seriously,
I think
it means a lot.
If I could just say, I think my favorite edits that you did was probably the Super Mega Force edits, where you kind of made it look like the episode from Gokaiger where they were fighting the 6 Rangers.
Yeah. A lot of people like those, and the Dino War that I did too. A lot of people tell me they love that.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
So I appreciate it, everybody.
And last but not least, Mr. Famous Man in Japan, Vaughn Cooper. Where can everybody find you?
Well,
this man pulled out a photo.
You can find me being You can find me being a fool on Twitter. You can find me dancing on Twitter at Mr. Cooper 92. You can find me just being bullied by Tavion Jackson on Twitter as well. Or being compared as a robot by everybody by the Legion of Boom as well.
We're just building character. Don't worry.
They're building character for me, which is weird. I already have a character, but I do not compute. Thinking about starting the channel soon, maybe really, really soon, but be on the lookout for that. I do collect toys, but I blame them all on Sentai 5 because he peer pressured me to buy these toys. So all of this right here is because of this man right here.
Yeah,
So,
the y'all toy collecting like crazy. I just was like, man,
I blame him. Come on.
I did nothing.
Look at this. Now they all pulling their toys out. Look at this. Look at this.
Three.
I got mine in a box. I got like several boxes.
Oh my gosh. Layla said, if you're a secret Shinkender, just say it, Vaughn.
It be Sojo.
That's
right.
Kevin.
Oh my god.
No, this is the real Kevin right here. This is the real Kevin.
Right. Oh my gosh.
Hi, Danny. All right, that's enough for my TED talk.
All right, as always, guys, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and of course subscribe to me here on YouTube at Blackwing2040. You could also find me on Twitch at Blackwing2040. And of course, I thank you guys so much, Vaughn, Squall 5. Appreciate the time that just allowing me to do this, celebration of Time Force, and 5 screen just went.
He's out. He's gone already.
He just went.
That man.
He got his bag and left.
Yeah, he already got his bag. He already left. Come on.
His screen just totally went dark.
Oh, he's back.
Oh, he back.
I'm back. I don't know. I just lost connection out of nowhere.
Wow. I don't. Hey, that 10
How was my freeze frame shot?
Oh, it just went into it just went to like a circle. That's all.
Oh,
it is.
okay, all right.
That's all.
I thought like I looked funny on screen or something.
No.
On that note, Legion out.
Legion out.
As always, I'm Vengeance. I'm Darkness. I am Blackwing. Stay golden. Blackwing out.